Welcome to Conspiracist. Today, we're diving into the hypothesis that governments have intentionally concealed evidence of hidden energy sources. We'll be examining the claims and the reasoning behind this idea, drawing from a range of materials, and, well, we're going to maintain a strictly professional and objective tone throughout our discussion. Our mission is really to evaluate the information available without any humor or, dismissiveness. Okay, let's unpack this enduring fascination with energy that seems to defy conventional understanding.
Indeed. What's perhaps most telling as we begin is the centuries-long quest for what many have termed perpetual motion. The idea of a machine operating indefinitely without an external energy source. This wasn't just some fringe pursuit. It really captured the imaginations of inventors and thinkers for centuries, even way back in the Middle Ages.
Right. And it's not just a historical footnote, is it? Even now, you hear about inventions supposedly generating more energy than they consume. The term over-unity pops up quite a bit. What does established science tell us about these claims?
Well, if we connect this to the fundamental principles of physics, the picture becomes pretty clear. The first law of thermodynamics, at its core, it tells us that energy can't be created or destroyed in an isolated system. It only changes form.
Okay.
Then there's the second law, which introduces the concept of entropy, essentially, that things naturally tend towards disorder, and in any energy conversion, some energy is inevitably lost, usually as unusable heat. No real-world process can be, 100% efficient.
So when someone claims to have built a perpetual motion machine or achieved over-unity, they're essentially saying they've, bypassed these fundamental laws?
Precisely, yeah. Think of the second law almost as a universal speed limit for energy processes. The work of Sadi Carnot back in the 19th century on the efficiency of heat engines, it demonstrated that the output of any such engine will always be less than the input. There's a theoretical maximum, they call it the Carnot efficiency, and that's always less than 100%.
And real engines are even less efficient than that.
Oh yes. With friction and heat loss and other factors, real engines are always less efficient than that theoretical maximum. So claims of perpetual motion, they face a really high theoretical hurdle.
That makes sense from a theoretical standpoint. But history is full of accounts of people claiming success, isn't it? Our materials mention figures like Robert Fludd and Johann Bessler.
Yes, the historical record is certainly filled with claims like that. Fludd proposed his water screw in the 17th century, and there were other ideas like self-blowing windmills. Bessler, in the early 18th century, he claimed to have working models after doing a lot of experiments. But crucially, none of these have ever been independently verified under rigorous scientific conditions. The lack of reproducible evidence, that's a key issue here.
And this pattern seems to continue into more modern times. We see examples like Otis T. Carr with his supposed UFO technology linked to free energy.
Right.
And David Hamill, whose anti-gravity generator famously didn't work when tested.
These more recent examples, they really mirror the historical ones in a crucial way.
Sure.
There's just a lack of verifiable evidence and, no mechanism that actually aligns with established scientific understanding. Carr's claims in the 1950s, often evoking Tesla and Hamill's more recent device, they just didn't stand up to scrutiny when people actually looked closely.
Then there's the Motionless Electromagnetic Generator, or MEG, by Tom Bearden. The name itself suggests something that might violate these energy laws.
Well, yes. And what's particularly noteworthy about the MEG is the formal scientific skepticism it ran into. Bearden proposed it could generate power by tapping into something called vacuum energy. However, the American Physical Society, which is, a leading body of physicists, they actually issued a statement against the patent that was awarded to this device.
Really? Against the patent itself?
Yes. It just highlights the significant challenge these kinds of claims face within the scientific community, especially when they appear to contradict fundamental principles like energy conservation.
Our materials also brought up Genesis World Energy and Storn Ltd. These are more contemporary examples where claims of revolutionary energy production, they ultimately fell flat.
Exactly. Genesis World Energy's claims about water-splitting technology, it led to their founder's conviction for fraud. That kind of illustrates the potential for financial deception in this whole area.
Yeah, that's a serious red flag.
And Storn Ltd., they actually sought scientific validation for their rotating magnet device, which is interesting. But ultimately, they had a jury of scientists conclude it just didn't function as claimed. These instances really underscore the difficulty in substantiating these free energy claims through rigorous objective testing.
Okay, so given this consistent failure of such devices to be validated, Why do you think the idea of free energy suppression continues to resonate with some people? It seems quite persistent.
Well, this points to a fascinating aspect of human psychology and societal narratives, I think. The free energy suppression conspiracy theory often posits that powerful entities, usually the fossil fuel and nuclear industries, are named, actively work to prevent the development and public access to free energy technologies.
To protect their profits, essentially.
That's the core argument, yes,
Yep.
to protect their economic interests.
We even saw a satirical take on this in our materials, but the underlying debunking argument always comes back to the violation of physics, doesn't it?
That's the core tension, exactly. While the desire for clean, abundant, and frankly inexpensive energy is entirely understandable, we all want that the overwhelming scientific evidence indicates that energy cannot simply be created from nothing. The laws of physics, as we currently understand them, they present a significant barrier that just hasn't been credibly overcome, despite numerous attempts over centuries.
Okay, let's turn our attention to Nikola Tesla for a moment. He's frequently mentioned in these discussions about hidden energy. There are suggestions that his work hinted at suppressed free energy technologies, particularly his research on radiant energy and wireless power transmission.
Ah, yes, Tesla. What's interesting about Tesla is the blend of his very real, very significant contributions to electrical engineering with later interpretations and, frankly, myths that have built up around him. While his work on alternating current and wireless communication was absolutely revolutionary.
No doubt about that.
The idea that he developed a machine capable of generating unlimited power from the air, that's largely a modern construct. It seems fueled by incomplete historical records and perhaps a romanticized view of his genius.
The discussion in our material seemed to support that view, suggesting that claims of Tesla's free energy inventions are often exaggerations or maybe misunderstandings of his actual projects.
That's a crucial distinction, I think.
Yeah.
Tesla did experiment with the transmission of energy through the Earth and atmosphere. His Wardenclyffe Tower is the most famous example.
Right, the big tower on Long Island.
Exactly. But the aim there was efficient wireless transmission of electricity. It still required an initial input of power. It wasn't about generating energy from nothing. It was about distributing energy effectively, not creating it ex nihilo, out of thin air.
The mystery surrounding Tesla's missing papers after his death also seems to add to this aura of hidden knowledge. The materials mention the FBI's involvement, their concerns.
Indeed. And the fact that John G. Trump, a respected scientist himself, and incidentally, Donald Trump's uncle was tasked with examining Tesla's papers after his death, that highlights the perceived importance of his work, even posthumously.
So the government was interested.
Oh, absolutely. But this secrecy, though likely driven by national security concerns related to potential applications of his research, especially during wartime, it has undoubtedly contributed to speculations about suppressed breakthroughs. It feeds the narrative.
Okay. Another concept that often comes up in these contexts is zero-point energy. It's described as energy inherent in empty space. Does this have any actual scientific validity?
Well, the term zero-point energy does refer to a real concept in quantum mechanics. It's basically the lowest possible energy state that a quantum system can have, even if you cool it down to absolute zero temperature. In quantum field theory, it's understood as the energy density of the vacuum itself. So yes, it's a recognized scientific idea.
Okay, so it's real in physics. Where does the leap come from, the notion of harnessing it for, practical energy?
Right. This is where the line between established physics and, speculation gets crossed. Some people propose that this zero-point energy could be tapped as a limitless power source. But the critical point, scientifically speaking, is that this energy is understood to be uniform, the same everywhere throughout space.
And why is that a problem?
Because for energy to be harnessed, to do useful work, you generally need a gradient, a difference like a high pressure and a low pressure, or a hot area and a cold area. You need something to flow from and to. Because zero-point energy is theorized to be constant everywhere, it's incredibly challenging, maybe impossible based on current understanding, to see how you'd create a usable energy flow from it.
Our materials were pretty skeptical of the idea of harnessing zero-point energy. One source even called claims about it a scam.
That skepticism is well-founded within the current understanding of physics. Think of it this way. If the energy level is the same everywhere, there's no downhill for it to flow. It's like trying to get power from a perfectly still lake, or, as mentioned, from air that's at a perfectly uniform pressure and temperature. There's nothing to drive a process.
Right, okay. That makes sense. Now, our materials also mentioned microbial fuel cells, or MFCs. These sound like a more tangible alternative energy approach. How do they work?
Microbial fuel cells, yeah, they leverage the metabolic processes of certain kinds of bacteria. As these microorganisms break down organic matter, basically, as they eat, they release electrons as part of their respiration. MFCs are designed to capture these electrons using electrodes and generate an electrical current.
So you're using bacteria to make electricity?
Essentially, yes. Using biological catalysts to convert chemical energy, stored in organic waste, for example, directly into electricity. It's a fascinating field.
It really is. What are the main limitations of MFC technology right now? Why aren't we all using them?
Well, current limitations mostly revolve around the efficiency of getting those electrons from the bacteria to the electrode. That transfer rate is a key bottleneck. And there are also challenges in scaling these systems up to produce significant amounts of power cost effectively. It's still very much an area of active research and development.
The materials also touched on the more, let's say, conventional renewable energy sources like solar and wind, geothermal, etc. But they noted that none currently replace fossil fuels on their own.
And that's a realistic assessment of where we are now, the current energy landscape. While renewables are absolutely crucial for the future, each one has its own set of challenges. Things like intermittency, the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, energy density, grid integration, storage, infrastructure requirements. It's complex.
So you need a mix.
A diverse portfolio of energy solutions is almost certainly necessary.
Yeah.
There's unlikely to be a single silver bullet.
Interestingly, there was also mention of using AI artificial intelligence to locate naturally occurring underground hydrogen deposits. That sounds like a potentially significant, if naturally occurring hidden energy source.
Yes, certain geological processes do produce hydrogen deep within the Earth. It's sometimes called gold hydrogen or natural hydrogen. The difficulty has always been in identifying reservoirs that are large enough and accessible enough to be economically viable. These deposits can be hard to distinguish from other geological formations using current sensing technologies.
And that's where AI comes in.
Potentially, yes. AI could be really valuable in analyzing vast amounts of geological data, seismic surveys, satellite imagery, well logs to identify patterns that might indicate these hydrogen reservoirs. It could significantly improve detection methods.
This kind of brings us to the whole topic of government secrecy in the energy sector. The materials we looked at regarding the U.S. Department of Energy, the DOE, certainly suggest a culture of high security and compartmentalization, especially around nuclear research.
Oh, definitely. The DOE operates with a significant degree of secrecy, particularly concerning nuclear weapons development, stockpile stewardship, and related sensitive research.
Sure.
This level of security has deep historical roots, going back to the Manhattan Project and the Cold War era, driven by the strategic importance of these technologies.
The example given about dismantling an older nuclear bomb, where the knowledge was basically lost within the department, that really underscored the extent of this compartmentalization.
It did, didn't it?
Right.
The fact that they needed a specialized program just to relearn how to safely dismantle a decades-old weapon highlights how knowledge can become incredibly siloed within such highly secure, compartmentalized organizations.
Are there checks and balances?
Well, there are internal oversight mechanisms within the DOE, like the Office of Inspector General, meant to provide some level of accountability.
Yeah.
But the overall culture is undoubtedly one of intense secrecy and need-to-know access.
So, given this environment, is it plausible then that radical energy breakthroughs could be kept secret within these government labs?
Plausible. I mean, given the nature of classified research and the legitimate needs of national security, it's certainly possible in theory. Breakthroughs in areas like advanced physics, exotic propulsion, or novel energy generation could theoretically be kept under wraps, at least for a time.
Nice.
But it's crucial to differentiate between what is theoretically possible and what is actually likely, especially given the complete lack of credible public evidence for such world-changing concealed technologies. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and we just don't seem to have it.
Right. Okay, finally, our materials touched on the phenomenon of conspiracy theories themselves. What insights did they offer into why these beliefs persist, sometimes against strong evidence?
Well, one interesting perspective discussed is the idea that humans may have an inherent, perhaps evolutionary, tendency towards pattern recognition and threat detection. This served us well in the past, but can sometimes lead us to perceive conspiracies or hidden intentions where none actually exist.
Seeing patterns that aren't really there.
Sort of. And then confirmation bias kicks in. That's our tendency to seek out and favor information that confirms the beliefs we already hold while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. This really helps reinforce conspiratorial thinking.
The materials also suggested that the sheer ease of communication in the modern era, like the internet, can amplify and spread these theories much more rapidly than before.
Absolutely. The internet and social media provide spaces, sometimes called echo chambers or filter bubbles, where like-minded individuals can find each other easily and reinforce each other's beliefs. This makes it much harder to encounter and seriously consider alternative perspectives or contradictory evidence.
And there was also the point about actors, individuals, or groups who might intentionally promote or exploit conspiracy theories for their own purposes, maybe political or financial gain.
Yes, that's an important dimension. Conspiracy theories can sometimes serve to distract from complex systemic issues or to undermine trust in established institutions like science, government, or the media. Understanding the potential motivations behind the propagation of these theories is crucial.
Our materials also offered some practical red flags, some warning signs, for identifying potential free energy scams. These seem like valuable guidelines for you, the listener.
Indeed. Things like claims that clearly violate fundamental, well-established laws of physics, inventions where the inventor is overly secretive or refuses independent testing, demonstrations that are overly complex may be designed to confuse rather than clarify,
What else?
vague or contradictory claims about how it works, and promises of profound, world-changing consequences without addressing the practical challenges or providing clear explanations. These should all raise suspicion. It's also useful, as one source pointed out, to try and distinguish between genuinely novel but perhaps unconventional fringe science, which might still operate within known laws but push boundaries, and what could be called crackpot science, which outright disregards established principles without evidence.
We've certainly covered a wide range of ideas today, haven't we? From the historical pursuit of perpetual motion all the way to modern claims of hidden energy, zero-point fields, and the underlying psychology of conspiracy beliefs.
Yes, and what becomes clearer, I think, is this enduring human aspiration for unlimited, clean, cheap energy. It's a powerful dream. But there's an ongoing tension between this deep desire and our current scientific understanding of the universe, particularly the laws of thermodynamics. While the allure of revolutionary, perhaps secret, energy sources is undeniably strong, a critical evaluation of the actual evidence available consistently brings us back to these established physical principles.
So for you, the listener, it's perhaps a reminder of the importance of approaching extraordinary claims with a healthy dose of skepticism, but also a commitment to evidence-based reasoning. The pursuit of knowledge really requires both an open mind and a critical eye.
And maybe it prompts us to consider why certain narratives about hidden technologies and powerful conspiracies resonate so deeply with us, sometimes even overshadowing the more complex incremental realities of scientific progress and energy innovation. It's worth thinking about.
Thanks for listening to Conspiracist.